A performance by a Port Neches high school drill team is making national headlines.
Well, the team wore Native American costumes and chanted words that leaders with the Cherokee Nation and the Alabama Coushatta tribe say were offensive.
ABC 13's race and culture reporter Rosie Wynn spoke to them about why they say indigenous school mascots do more harm than good. And Rosie, what are you learning about this issue tonight?
Eric and Elisa, people I talked to who support the high school's mascot says this is meant to be a respectful tribute and a way to honor Native American communities. However, tribal leaders that I talked to say it's not doing that, it's actually doing the opposite. And they say that the mascot actually perpetuates harmful stereotypes about indigenous people.
Quit trying to cancel everybody for something that you don't think is right. Understand everything before you try to cancel anyone out.
The community of Port Neches Grove is divided over the controversy behind the high school's mascot, the Indians. The school's drill team came under fire for its performance at Magic Kingdom during spring break last week, making national headlines and becoming the talk of social media. A video posted on Twitter with more than 1.6 million views shows the dancers known as the Indianettes in Native American fringe costumes and chanting racist phrases. Nita Batiste with the Alabama Coushatta tribe of Texas recalls how she felt when she first saw it.
For this to continue to this present day, unbelievable. And then there was anger.
Principal Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr. of Cherokee Nation tells us they've sent multiple letters to PNG ISD over the last few years, urging the high school to change its Native American mascot. But he claims district officials refuse.
When the Chief of Cherokee Nation reaches out in 2022 and says that, and is met with really just a dismissive attitude, and then we see what happened at Disney, I think it sends a message that they're not concerned about what Cherokee Nation thinks.
Batiste says the use of Native American mascots in schools perpetuate inaccurate stereotypes about indigenous people, such as the idea of savagery. Yona Usti, who is an alum of PNG High with Cherokee heritage, says he hopes district officials will take note of other schools and athletic teams around the country who have retired their Native American mascots.
In order to honor indigenous people, you need to not speak over them. The indigenous community is speaking, and that's where you need to listen.
Nearly all of Port Neches Grove's high school social media accounts have been deleted or made private, and school officials have not disclosed exactly why. They did send us a generic statement saying they are committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, but declined to answer our questions about whether they would consider a mascot change. We also want to note that Disney is ABC 13's parent company. Reporting live in the newsroom, Rosie Wynn, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
When are we going to talk about the racism and Islamophobia in Western journalism and media outlets? How colonialism never ended, it just took on new forms such as racial capitalism. How majority of the West and white people are so desensitized to POC suffering because they continue to view us as uncivilized and savage, which is the same exact rhetoric that was used to justify colonialism historically. And they continue to use this symbolic othering in order to justify invading, bombing, and dismantling our countries in the name of peace and progress. When are we going to talk about white brands caring more about a damn building than POC lives? Donating millions within seconds, yet making excuses when Black, brown, or Muslim communities need them. And simultaneously silencing us when we speak up about this hypocrisy, i.e. racism, and calling us the problem.
You know something, folks? College shirt. It's appropriate. But anyway, folks, some people might find this hard to believe, folks, but I've just had my first experience of what I would call for real institutional racism. And wouldn't you know it, folks, it came in the form of anti-racism. Isn't that something? But you see, in a world, in a society where being openly racism has fallen out of vogue or fallen in vogue or whatever the way vogue is gone, you ain't supposed to be openly racist anymore. So where, you ask, would all the races go? Well, they got to be not racist now. We got to be anti-racist, And it's always the people that make the most noise, man. I swear, it's always the people that make the most noise, man. And it's like, look, I'm not one of these people who's out here with the Black Lives Matter movement. And part of the reason for that is because who supports the Black Lives Matter movement? corporations. The same corporations that don't hire black people. The same corporations that don't have black CEOs. The same corporations that don't pay black people enough, that don't promote black people to positions of management, the jobs that everybody complains about. These are the same people that are out here, yeah, Black Lives Matter, y'all. And people don't ask enough questions because the message sounds good. It sounds good on paper, man. Just like having offices of diversity. Again, it's like a human resources department, you know, because you think because the company has a human resources department, it's like, oh, well, I can go there and have my problem solved. But you can't. And you don't get those problems solved because the human resources department exists to protect the company's ass. Just like the diversity department's job is to protect their ass. That's all it's there for. It's just there to protect the company's ass from diversity related problems. It's just like, hey man, you know, you ain't hired enough people here. And it's like, well, hold on, man, talk to the diversity department, you know, and they'll just give you some bullshit and, you know, just send you on their way. Because their job is never going to be to turn on the company and get the company in trouble. The whole point is to keep these people out of trouble. And that's all this shit exists for. And if you look for solutions as a person of color, you're not going to get them. That's real